to Ms. Warren.
My name is Samara Feist.
My name is Vandana Krishna.
My name is Cecilia Zambito, and we are presenting A Crowd of Defiance, A Voice for Millions, Jeanette Rankin and her campaign for women's rights.
All against the 19th Amendment, granting women the right to vote, say nay.
Nay.
All in favor of the amendment?
Aye. Women have been trying to get the right to vote since the birth of our nation. When Abigail Adams wrote a letter to husbands saying to remember the ladies, they've been ignored and shut out by our government. But today, June 4th, 1919, this will change. The 19th Amendment is currently being passed in Congress, and Jeanette Rankin, the first Congresswoman, made it happen.
Rankin was elected in 1916 and was born on June 11, 1880 in Grant Creek Ranch. As a child, Jeanette worked on her parents' ranch. She noticed that both men and women worked side by side with equal responsibilities, which ignited her desire to fight for women's equal rights.
It is currently 1910, where Jeanette Rankin's career in suffrage takes flight. She takes her first steps in suffrage, joining a local women's suffrage organization in the state of Washington.
Women's suffrage, local women's suffrage, sign up here!
I'm very passionate about the suffrage movement. I would like to take the responsibility upon myself to work towards helping the suffrage cause by joining your organization.
Of course, just sign here to apply.
From as early as college, Jeanette Rankin felt that it was her responsibility to fight for and have a role in the suffrage movement. Since she felt it was her right to fight for the causes she believed in, she was involved in many protests and campaigns.
Rankin's place in this movement not only helped Washington women gain the right to vote, but it also secured her a job at the National American Women's Suffrage Association. One day, while she was visiting Montana, she heard about a potential women's suffrage resolution.
I've heard that you're doing work in the Suffrage Association. Is that correct?
That is correct. Since I'm very passionate about women's suffrage, I decided to join the National American Women's Suffrage Association.
Well, I heard about a women's suffrage resolution that was going to be introduced to the state's legislature.
A suffrage resolution? Using this, I'm confident I could help give voting rights to millions of American women. I'll try to talk to the State House about this.
However, while visiting the Montana State House, Jeanette Rankin was met with disappointment when she was informed that the voting resolution was just a hoax.
Is there a problem that needs to be addressed?
Yes, I've come to address the issue of the women's voting rights resolution.
Where did you hear about that? I don't know who told you this, but it's just a hoax.
Oh, really? Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate you clearing this concern for me.
Even if the resolution was purely a rumor, Jeanette Rankin was determined to get the legislature to agree to this idea. She took matters into her own hands and decided to speak to a lawmaker directly.
Have you heard about the women's voting rights resolution?
I have. However, it is just a rumor.
Yes, I'm aware. Regardless, I still want to speak to the Montana State Legislature. Women deserve the right to vote, and I believe I have the responsibility to win back their voices. If women can raise their sons to vote, why can't women be able to vote themselves? I do this by speaking to the state legislature. Women are vital to our society. With all we do, we deserve the right to vote.
You have some very sensible ideas, miss. I support your intentions and agree to help you with your mission.
Thank you, sir.
On February 1st, 1911, Jeanette Rankin gives her speech to the Montana State Legislature.
I heard that today a woman is going to speak. That's never happened before.
Yes, I've heard that she's in support of women's suffrage.
There she is now.
Good day, gentlemen. I am Jeanette Rankin. I'm here today to address the issue of women's voting rights. For years, our government has prioritized the thoughts and voices of male citizens and pushed their female citizens to the side. 61 years ago, women joined and made many significant contributions in the workforce, as well as in the home, where they raise our country's children. Men want women in the home, and they want them to make said home perfect. Yet how can women make it perfect if they have no control over the influences on the home? We can compare this injustice against women to the colonists' fight against the British. Like the colonists, women are silenced in their own country. They said that having such small power in the government was tyranny. And yet the tyrannical rule against women still remains. Therefore, in the next election, it is mandatory for Montana women to be given the right to vote. Thank you.
Thank you for opening our eyes to this cause.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeanette Rankin's words would convince many legislators to support the prospect of a suffrage bill. However, it was ultimately defeated.
I agree with Rankin. We should vote for a suffrage issue to be sent.
Well, I'm not completely sure. I do think that women have done a lot of work for the country, but I don't think they're ready to make larger decisions, including voting.
When it comes to this issue, I have to completely disagree with Rankin's point. This bill is unnecessary. I don't believe in this ridiculous spending. This is outrageous. Women are getting too many modern ideas. A woman's role in this society is currently in the home. Voting would clearly distract from these roles, and they would not have time to raise our country's children. Like Rankin said, it is proper for women to be placed in the home.
I, for one, agree with Rankin. Smith, you're turning her own words against her. When Rankin mentioned the idea of women making the home perfect, she didn't mean that they should stay there, but rather use voting as a tool to better it.
You make a reasonable point. However, I have to go with Smith's ideas. Like he said, a woman's job, at least for now, is in the home. They're obviously not qualified to make these types of decisions for our country, and voting would burden them with another job to do.
Following her defeat in the Montana suffrage bill, Jeanette Rankin would continue to fight for its ratification, participating in protests such as the women's suffrage procession in March of 1913, the day before President Woodrow Wilson's inauguration. Ironically, racial prejudice towards African American suffragists, such as Ida B. Wells, was prominent, though white suffragists fought so much for equality.
This march is going to be organized by the state delegation, correct?
Yes. You, move to the back.
But I'm a delegate from Illinois, and they're near the front.
That doesn't matter. Move to the back.
Women deserve to vote!
Bring equality to women!
Women aren't smart enough to vote. Only men belong in politics.
There were always many opposers to the suffrage movement, and during this protest, they were particularly harsh. Men pushed, tripped, and even spit on the suffragists, with the police refusing to help. Along with these injustices, African American women were constantly mistreated by their white counterparts, like what Ida B. Wells faced.
Along with men, many women were anti-suffragists themselves. They thought that voting would be a burden and disrupt traditional gender roles. However, despite their opposers, Jeanette Rankin and the other suffragists succeeded in the procession, reviving and popularizing the movement.
Following her participation in the women's suffrage procession, Jeanette Rankin moved out to Montana and ran for a position in Congress to better her effects in the fight for the vote.
Please consider voting for me in the upcoming Congress election. A vote for me is a vote for the rights of 1 million all over the nation.
Since the Anaconda Copper Mining Company, a company that owns a majority of the newspapers in Montana, refused to advertise Rankin's candidacy, she used a unique grassroots strategy to try to convince people to vote for her. Rankin orally advertised the upcoming election and relied on others to spread the word. This strategy worked well, connected her to the voters, and convinced many to vote for her in the upcoming election.
The state of Montana is split into districts, with each district voting separately. The process itself is a rank vote, where each voter lists their candidates from first pick to last.
My first pick would be Jeanette Rankin.
I would say Thomas Walsh would do far greater work in Congress. He is my first pick.
After counting the votes that have just come in, I'm happy to announce that you're now in Congress.
Thank you very much.
After fighting for 3 years for many causes, such as women's suffrage and pacifism, which is a non-violent fight for peace, Rankin was finally able to make a decision that would change the voting rights of women all over America.
All against the 19th Amendment, granting women the right to vote, say nay.
Nay.
All in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
I may be the first Congresswoman, but I won't be the last. After fighting and voting for the 19th Amendment, I ran for another term in 1941 to fight for pacifism. In 1968, I led the Jeanette Rankin Brigade, where 5,000 other women and I led a march holding a large banner saying to end the war in Vietnam, the social crisis at home. After, I moved back to Georgia, and I always felt that it was my duty to help Native Americans, but I never felt that I did enough. To continue my legacy and will, my personal assistant, Rita Rivers, along with friends Margaret Holt, Heather Cleaner, Sue Bailey, and Gail Dendy, formed the Jeanette Rankin Foundation. Our goal was to help give education opportunities to mature, unemployed women. With all of these actions, I hope to inspire women throughout America to take a stand and to be the first. If I am remembered for no other act, I want to be remembered as the only woman who ever gave women the right to vote.
My name is Heidi Caraway, and I'm the first female senator serving from 1931 to 1945. I played a big role in my husband's political career, working his campaign and serving as his advisor, and I eventually took his position after he died. Additionally, I supported the economic recovery legislation during the Great Depression, and like Rankin, I believe it was important to work towards a more equal society.
I am Sandra Day O'Connor, and I was the first woman in the Supreme Court. Like Rankin, I had trouble getting to my position due to my gender, but was eventually appointed in 1981 by President Reagan. There have been 6 women in the Supreme Court after me, and I hope that there are many more to come.
My name is Kamala Harris, and I'm the first female vice president. I graduated from Howard University and the University of California Hastings College of Law in 1989. I faced many challenges throughout my career due to my race and gender. However, my mother, like Rankin, will tell me that I may be the first, but will remind me to never be the last.
Living in the U.S. as a young female citizen, I've been inspired by many of these women. Because people like Jeanette Rankin, who felt that she had a responsibility to make a change, I, along with millions of women across America, have the right to vote. Rankin once said, "I hope to inspire women and all. I can take these words to heart and have the confidence to be the first."
All these women have contributed greatly in the fight for equality, but our job is far from over.
We are the future, but we're not done yet.